Hello everybody, this is me again with reference to Cohort 8 Action Inquiry Peer Review. This is the second video. The first one I think wasn't very well planned, so this one I've planned better. I wrote some notes so that I can guide myself through it, and the notes will be put on part of my assignment. Right, my Action Inquiry question was: will increased communication to emphasise the importance of health surveillance at work lead to increased awareness so that we meet our legal requirements? I looked at this question and I thought, break it into like smaller sections. Increased communication will be one part of that question. Importance of health surveillance will be another part of that question, and legal requirements is another part of that question. For the peer review, I'm going to talk to you about health surveillance and its legal requirements. You might all be asking, what is health surveillance? Well, the excerpt from the leaflet that's from the Health and Safety Executive, which is Understanding Health Surveillance at Work, states health surveillance is about systematically watching out for early signs of work-related illness in employees exposed to certain health risks. This can be a matter of various items, that you could be exposed to. It's a legal requirement for a company to provide health surveillance, especially if they use a lot of chemicals and tools and everything else. But once the company has provided the health surveillance, it is then an employee's legal obligation to actually attend it as well. So the evidence that I collected through my first cycle was I need to research this project. Where am I going to look and how am I going to find it? So I used, as we all do, Google. I googled a search engine, which led me to the HSE site, which seems to be the main information site for my research. I also looked at the full intranet area to see if there was anything in there, but the main site, which had all the legal requirements on it, was the Health and Safety Executive site. The data I found was that I found about 9 regulatory papers covering all different parts of health surveillance, and they all referred to certain bits of legislation. There's 4 main areas under health surveillance that we need to look at, which I got papers from. Hearing regulations, which is part of the Control of Noise at Work Regulation 2005, and part of that is testing employees for hearing. I'll just show you the paperwork I pulled off. Move it over a bit. Cameras and me, it's not getting on. As you can see, Noise at Work Regulatory Hearings 2005. This is the document that I pulled off. I read it through, I understand what it says, but you need to summarise it, otherwise I'll just bore you to sleep while I'm trying to explain to it. But it's mainly to do with looking at people's hearing, testing them on a regular basis and see if the noise within their working environment deteriorates their hearing. This is done through risk assessments and noise evaluations. The second part, or the second of the 4 parts, is hearing arm vibration, which is covered under the Health and Safety at Work Act 1977. Part of this is, again, I've got another one of my sheets that I've picked off. Let's see if we can get this one better in the camera that way. Okay, that's the sheet. It talks about a thing called HAVS, HAVS, which is hand-arm vibration syndrome. This is caused by the use of vibrational tools and high-frequency equipment, which will then put a numbness on the end of your fingers, aching in your joints, and it is contributed to the use of impact tooling and high-frequency tooling. So that's another part is covered. The third section that it looks at is your skin. Yeah, what effects it can have your skin, and this is covered under the Control of Substances Hazardous to Health Regulation 2002. Most people know it as COSH. Yeah. What they look for when they test for is irritation to your skin, redness, what chemicals you use, what effect that has to your skin, if it causes dermatitis, and are you using the correct PPE, which is personal protective equipment for doing your job, and is it adequate for the job? Yeah. Those are the sort of things that they look for. Again, I have another sheet. As you can see, this one covers the dermatitis, and it's got quite a bit. It tells you introduction, substance, occupation, wet work, all different things. Yeah. Again, this is what I pulled off the HSE website. Yeah. The last section that's covered under health surveillance is to do with respiratory. Yeah. And this comes again under the Control of Substances Hazardous to Health Regulation 2002, known as COSH. Part of the testing process is they test lung capacity. Do you work in dusty areas? Are you prolonged use of chemical vapours? Are you using correct equipment? Is it equipment correct for the use? Are you using the right respirators? Doing for the work you need to do. Again, I've got another sheet here, which is about respiratory, but it's talking about cyclin silus, yeah, which is again as a dust-borne composite. As you can see, I researched it reasonably thoroughly to get all the information I required for my cycle 1. The problem is that there's too much data, and you can get bogged down. So, as part of the question I was looking for about health surveillance's legal requirements, I think I covered that by getting all of the sheets off of the internet, using that as a tool to gain the information I needed for action and inquiry. And it covered the legal requirements. So, as far as the first part of this peer review that I'm looking at is health surveillance and its legal requirements. That's what I've studied in depth to get as much information as possible. So the main part of my question has been covered, because the main part of the question is health surveillance and its legal requirements. But looking at what I found, there was too much information. When I went to present this to my team as part of the first cycle, I could have bored them to tears, because there is just too much there. So I looked at it, made more notes, looked at the way that I was going to provide it to the team, and thought, well, if I'm not careful, they're just going to fall asleep and be bored to tears, not listen. So as far as communicating it would have been concerned, it would have been a total waste of time. So coming out of my first cycle, what I looked at for was I needed to summarise the topics so that I could give a brief understanding that was a bit light-hearted to a certain extent, and but got the message over. It seemed to work at the time as well, because there wasn't many questions, but it made me change what I needed to do in my second cycle. The first cycle was collecting the data, the second cycle was presenting to the team. So in my second cycle, I changed it to reflect I need to summarise data rather than giving detail. But I also put in that there is members within your team that will want detail, and they will want to know the exact ins and outs of everything and the regulatory. So I made sure that I had web addresses for all of this data and made them available to my team. I hope this is a bit more detail for you so that you can review my peer review. Please let me know, and don't forget to make sure you allow me to use your comments in my future module. Thank you very much for listening. I hope I haven't bored you too much. and I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.